Hi, and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits.
And my name is Amanda, also known as Dramatic Mandy.
And today is Sunday, January 27th, 2019. This is episode 324. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back this episode. And if you're new, hopefully you enjoy this episode and you come back in the future. So as you can see, I had to quickly check our notes to see what episode it is. Can you believe 324? I mean, it's been a while. It has been almost 8 years, actually. February 16th, 2011 was the first episode of Dramatic Knits by my lonesome. I hosted the show for almost a year by myself before our friend Callie joined me, and she co-hosted with us until this past August. And then, if you're new, my sister here, this is Amanda, my sister, joined me once Callie did move away, moved down south to the St. Louis area for her job, which I think life seems like it's going pretty well for her down there, so. Anyway, what's been going on in the past 2 weeks, since we haven't spoken in the past 2 weeks? Not a whole lot here. You know, I was traveling for the New Year's, and I talked about my Disney trip last episode, and we've been doing a lot of hunkering down and not leaving the house because it's been cold and snowing, and it's going to drop out and get really cold the next couple of days. But it's kind of, yeah, it snowed, and then it melted, but it froze, and then melted some more, and then we had issues with water running down the front walls of our house from the second floor down to the bottom floor, and luckily that was not a major issue, and I do hope that when it melts, it doesn't do it again. Yeah. Old houses, I'll tell you, they're a bunch of fun. Anyway, and then we've had to do some errands and different meetings and things, nothing which I can really talk about yet, but I will open up to you all about everything I've been keeping top secret next episode in 2 weeks, because it'll be the day before everything happens. And then it's kind of like when a woman learns that she's pregnant, she doesn't tell people right away. I did not want to open up about this major life change until
pregnant?
I'm not pregnant, don't worry. But we keep trying, we can't figure out why. But anyway, so, you know, I did not want to say anything until all the T's were crossed and the I's were dotted. And since it'll be so close, there will be pretty much no backing out one day before then. When we record again, we'll share with you then. So, other than that, nothing fancy. We changed banks, so we had to sit through meetings of that and get bank accounts open, and we haven't closed the old ones yet, but we had to open new ones. And that was fun. And then, last night was Saturday, and this is how much older I'm getting. So we watched a movie last night, and I'll talk to you about that in movies, but I didn't put this down because we haven't finished it. But once we got done with the movie, we were watching on Prime, and for some reason, like, a title came up, and it was something about the St. Louis World's Fair, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, da-da-da-da-da, this and that. I wish, though, they had one about the Chicago World's Fair, because if you are new to the show or Dramatic Knits, we are currently living in central Illinois, which is about 2.5, 3 hours south of Chicago. But Amanda and myself grew up about 20 miles south west of Chicago, in the southwest suburbs. So Chicago was always, you know, close to home for us, and while it seems like a big city for people, it is a big city. My mom never drove into Chicago, even though we were only 45 minutes away.
We both have.
We both have. I don't prefer to do it, like actual downtown. I have, but to learn about things that are no longer there, and to kind of see some of the relations to what is there with Navy Pier. And one of my favorite books is Devil in the White City, which deals with the planning and creation and building of the World's Fair in Chicago. So anyway, I went to let the dogs out, and I came and sat back down, and Andy's like, look, I found this documentary narrated by Gene Wilder, best known for, you know, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and many other things, of course. He's like, if you want to watch it. So, of course, he starts playing on his phone and is not really caring. But we watched, like, it's like a 2-hour documentary. And we watched probably, like, an hour of it. And I'm sitting there knitting going, and it's all just, like, pictures, right? Because they didn't have film back then.
What?
In 1893. But it just... I'm like, oh gosh, it's a Saturday night, and we stayed up till 9:45, and the last hour I've been watching a documentary about the Chicago World's Fair. That's what 33 looks like, y'all.
You were that
And
old
mine.
when you were 23. Let's be honest.
Anyway, I'm mature for my age, and staying up till 9:45 is real mature for my age. Because usually we're coming upstairs at 9 o'clock.
Oh yeah, my best friend is worse. She goes to bed about 8. Yeah.
It's a little early, but I don't get up that early anymore.
Well, she gets up early for work. But
Anyway, that's been my rant on the past 2 weeks. Nothing else that I can really think of. We went to knitting once, and
yeah, I mean, I guess you could say it was like it wasn't notable. It was just a normal 2 weeks of. But, how long, I'm trying to think, it was last week, was our mom's birthday.
Oh, true story.
If you ask, she turned 39, wink wink. I think she looks good for her age, but.
She does, but now she can claim to actually be the age she's been claiming to be.
Yeah.
For the past 5 years, so.
Yeah, she likes to tell everyone she's older, but, her birthday is, like, kind of rough for her, so I wanted to make it nice, and luckily I did. I was happy about that. She never likes her birthday. But
She's very low-key, and, like, we always want to take her out. All we do as a family now is you get dinner at the place that you choose, and she never wants to go during her birthday, because, one, it's always cold, and she doesn't like going outside when it's cold. So, like, last year, I think we didn't go for her birthday dinner till, like, 3 months after her birthday. She finally was like, I'm ready!
Yeah.
So, Andy and I stopped over with some scratchers, and she enjoyed that.
Yeah, I took a half day to surprise her and, make her dinner, and her favorite cake is angel food cake. That's a process.
With Dream Whip.
Yes.
Chocolate Dream Whip.
It's good. Everyone likes it. But
If you don't know what Dream Whip is, it's kind of like a pudding Cool Whip that's a frosting.
Yeah, well, so to make the frosting, you mix it with, like, a chocolate pudding.
Yeah, I would say it's like a lighter chocolate pudding. Like a fluffier, but not fluffy like Cool Whip. It's in between.
Cool Whip.
Cool Whip. Anyway, family guy.
And so I bought her a bunch of stuff that she would enjoy and use, like hairspray and like face primer, like stupid stuff, but it's like she really liked it. But she didn't even care about the present. What she cared about was that I cleaned her whole house, so she was happy about that. And I was like, the best part though was my birthday, like 6 months prior, was the first time I got her a little drunk on margaritas. And we went home, and she was very interesting, and I was videotaping her, and I've never showed anyone. I think I might have shown you.
You sent it to me.
Yeah, but besides
because I was
that,
there while we all went to Mexican, and
yes.
they had rather large margaritas. But she sent me a video, and I was like, oh.
But it was awesome, and I ended up showing her these videos, and she didn't remember it whatsoever, and she was cracking up laughing. We were both crying, like, almost on the floor. So it was really nice. And
you shared a moment.
Yeah, I like to see her happy, because we can get on each other's nerves, you know, like anything. But that was about it. Other than that,
yeah, we've been home the past, couple of months, and it's been nice not to travel. And Andy and I, football's winding down, so like every night we're sitting on the couch together, and I'm crafting, and he plays on his phone. He's addicted to his some sort of build a home, but it's like Farm Hero Saga or Candy Crush, like kind of those games, but like you build a home. I don't know, but he loves that game. And he plays, and we just watch TV together and movies, and it's nice to have that.
I don't know about you, but I haven't wanted to go out. It's been so cold. And Wednesday's supposed to be -9 with a real feel of like -55.
Yeah, we lost power for like 10 minutes yesterday morning. I don't know if you guys did. Because we only live less than a mile away from each other. As Mom has mapped out in her car, it's like 7 blocks. But we lost power for like 10 minutes, and Andy started freaking out. He's like, it's going to get cold in here real quick. Because he used to live, well, we both used to live with his dad in a different house in our town, actually where I started podcasting from. And they had an ice storm before I met them, and they actually were without heat for about 3 to 4 days. And they had to go to a hotel for a couple of nights. So he, of course, his mind goes there. And after that, in the other house, they put in like a propane heater, little fake fireplace thing that helped. But we don't have one of those here. So anyway, let's get to the knitting, shall we? All right, because I've been working on a lot of stuff. Got a lot of stuff to show, but we got nothing to show for finished objects. At least I don't. I don't know if you've finished anything, but for knitting-wise, I have not finished anything in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, totally. Let me go get it. Kidding.
So let's move into what's performing. First for me, I feel like I've made some progress, and I feel like I'm close, but I'm, I say that, and it still won't be done next episode. But my Paulette shawl, which we did as a knit-along in the Leading Men Fiber Arts group in the last, I think, 2 months of 2018. I'm still not done. Anyway, this is going to be a sample. I should have kits up for this in the shop soon. They will also be in our booth. Even though we're discontinuing the base, we do have some for kits for a little while. So this was designed using Leading Men Fiber Arts Showcase. Mine is out of, the purple is Heliotrope, and the golden speckle is Pretty Petals. And I am to the lace. I did finally finish the striping, and I've got like 4 more rows of the first lace repeat, and then you have to do it one more time. And you can see all my light bulb stitch markers in there just to help ease my mind on the lace section, so that if I'm off, I know it before I get to the end of the row. And this is being knit on a size 5 US 3.75 millimeter needle. We will have this color, I already dyed them up, so we'll have this color combo as kits, and then we will have the original that she designed in, which is Bend and Snap and Black Walnut. So I'm just waiting on the printers, or the patterns to come in the mail, because I did order the patterns from an actual print company on those ones. So that's that. And then next is my Adventurer Wrap by Amba O'Brien. And I'm using the Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper mini skeins in the 2018, it's not an Advent mini skein set. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Again, on a size 5, 3.75 millimeter needle. So I'm on to, I don't know, the next color. I've got one more green after this, I know.
Whatever's after Sour Apple.
I know I'm on Winter Shrubbery. But. Oh, gotcha. So there's where we started, and you can see how wide mine is. It will grow with blocking. It looks nice now. It is garter with lace, but it'll open up, both garter and lace will open up with blocking. So you can see I've got that bright alien attack there, and then I went into Sour Apple, and now I have this little bit of a paler green, which is Winter Shrubbery, and then I've got one more green after that, which is the Grouch, which kind of brings in some browner green tones, and then we'll get into the browns and tans and stuff. So there's that. I am close to switching to the next color, and as you'll see, Amanda's patiently waiting for that.
Not so patiently.
I told her she could move forward without me, but she doesn't want to wind the mini skeins. She's not a prissy at all. Alright, next up is Socks on a Plane by Laura Linneman. I'm using Ethereal Fibers Nebula Sock in the Natural History Nudie Run colorway. And I'm using Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper Intermission in the Sandcastle colorway as contrasting heels and toes. And I'm still on the first sock, but I am getting closer to the toe. So here you are. And Laura Linneman's sock is toe up, I believe. I basically just took the cable detail and put it on my regular generic sock. So you can see some pooling and flashing in there along with kind of the micro striping going on. And I will change the placement of the cable to this side of the leg and reverse the direction of the cable on the second sock. And in case you are wondering, I do knit my socks 2 at a time, or not 2 at a time, on 2 circs, 1 at a time. I do not get second sock syndrome, so I don't have to worry about that. And I use a size 1 US, which is a 2.25 millimeter needle. So, as is true with most knitters, as you get more comfortable in your sock knitting, your gauge loosens up, so you need to go down in your needle size. I believe when I started knitting socks, I started on a size 2, and then I knit on a size 1.5 for years, until I realized that I was having to decrease the stitch count, which just meant it was giving me a looser fabric, which is not the best for socks, because you want a tighter fabric so that it wears better. So. Alright, next up is My Weekender by Andrea Mowry. I'm doing this as a booth sample, but also it's going to be a sweater for Amanda. And last you saw it, I believe I just split off for the front and back, and I finished, they're both the same. So I finished, let's just say, the front, or the back, either one. And I picked up and I'm working on the other side, so whether it's the front or back. So, and actually it's inside out because you knit this inside out because it has a reverse stockinette stitch body, but rather than purling, which takes longer in most people's cases, you knit and then just turn it inside out. So here's the back, and I've bound off the back of the neck stitches. We'll say this is the back. And this is, by the way, this yarn is Leading Men Fiber Arts West End, which is our new non-superwash worsted weight in the bent neck lady colorway. And we do have pre-order listings in the shop so that you can order this base in any color you choose. And yeah, so it was interesting because you do ribbing, and when you bind off here, you actually Kitchener stitch the back of the neck, and what it does is it gives that kind of seamless look of the ribbing so that you can't see a definite bind off. It kind of mimics the tubular cast on that you do at the bottom of the sweater. But I did put on the sleeve or the shoulders on hold because I have a feeling these will be grafted to the front, which I'm working on here. You can see the stockinette there, so it's actually inside out. This is meant to have a good deal, about 10 inches of positive ease. So we'll see how everything works out. I am alternating skeins every row or other row, depending on if I'm knitting in the round or knitting flat. So, and that uses a size 7, 8, and 9 US, which is a 4.5 through 5.5 millimeter needle, and you do switch for like the ribbing and body and stuff. So next up is my Stripe Study Shawl that I'm knitting by Vera Valimaki, and I'm using Yarnies of Texas 70% merino, 30% silk in the Austin City Limits colorway that I was gifted at Stitches Texas, which is unfortunately no longer. It's a single ply, and then I paired that with a skein of Hedgehog Fibers sock in the Crystal colorway. And I'm working on that. I am on the 11th of 12 repeats of the contrast color, the stripes. So you can see much smaller stripes here. With short rows, you have bigger stripes here. So this side of the shawl is much larger than this side. But unfortunately, this is on a 32-inch, which means, you know, the bottom of the shawl is much larger than that. But there you can see the smaller side. Boy, that one row where I messed up really stands out on camera right there. Can you see it? I doubled up on that row. Anyway, and then this is the larger size. This is knit on a size 6 US, which is size 4 millimeter. I'm knitting this on my signatures, which I like. But yeah, Can you see all that pop of color in that Yarnies of Texas colorway? It's beautiful. I'm so glad she gifted that to me. So that's going. And then last but not least, sorry, I'll let you talk eventually. You could just cast on a bunch more projects and you would have a bunch of stuff to talk about. I'm at a really bad moment of I had startitis and now I just really want to get stuff off the needles. But last but not least is my Make Your Own Luck shawl. And I worked on this last night. And I'm on the 5th color. I'm doing this as a knit along with some gentlemen that I had the pleasure of having dinner with at Stitches SoCal. Hopefully we will plan a dinner date for Stitches West here next month. I'm not sure how the other gentlemen are doing, if any of them are still working on it. I meant to do a group text to them last night, but I'm on the 5th color. I'm using a gradient set from Black Cat Fibers in their Nomad sock in the Melancholia colorway, along with a skein of Leading Men Fiber Art Showstopper in the Darkest Hour colorway. So, again, the needle's not quite long enough, or the cable is not quite long enough to show everything, but you can see here it started here at this point, and you've got some purple, and then you went into some magenta, and then this kind of electric red, into this orange, and now I'm striping in this yellow colorway. And they are variegated, which I kind of loved. Because the original was done with a gray and a rainbow, I loved Black Cat's interpretation of this with that kind of darkened, gothified rainbow, and how it kind of muddies things up and makes it a little more grunge. So, yeah, I'm liking that. And this is on a size 5 US 3.75 millimeter needle as well. So that's what I've been working on. That's my progress. A little bit on everything, and nothing in a whole lot of detail. But what you've been working on, girl?
My adventurer scarf, which is his wrap, but he's given me his leftovers, and
there's enough to do the wrap plus the scarf with a little bit of extra going into my scrap blanket. So, but
let's just say I'd be farther if it. No, I'm just kidding.
You can keep throwing shade all you want.
So
I need to drink the tea. No, I don't. Sorry.
I am at the Sour Apple waiting on another color, so I can't go any farther. I'm messing with you, but it's so pretty. So yeah, I mean, you saw his. It looks the same, just not as wide. There's that. That's all I'm working on. Although I haven't told him this yet, but I'll tell you all later. I'm considering starting something new.
So speaking of which, moving into rehearsal then, what are we going to cast on? I am not casting on anything. The only thing that I know I'm going to cast on, once I finish the stripe study, I kind of have a local yarn store project, so when I go to knitting, I'm knitting on stuff that I purchase at the store. And I'm going to cast on a boomerang, a garter stitch boomerang, using Leading Men Fiber Art Showstopper in the Darkest Hour, which is our black. But then I'm going to hold together with it some stitched together Stitch Cloud, which is their silk mohair, in this acid green that I got at around the beginning of December. And I'm going to knit just a basic boomerang as a sample, a class sample for the class I'm teaching on boomerangs at the Pittsburgh Knit and Crochet Festival in March. So that's the only thing that I know will be going on the needles soon.
Does anyone else roll up their project?
I actually, the friend who taught me how to knit, got me back into knitting, Katie, what she would do with like scarves and stuff like that, she would take the interlocking stitch markers and she would roll up her scarf and like pin it up so it wasn't all over the place. Because you know when you're knitting flat, you're flipping it back and forth, and so it would just make it more manageable. Yeah. So she would knit on it while it was kind of like that. I mean, she would have...
I don't get bothered by that, but I just like I roll up the ball I'm working on into it so it stays together.
And your hair too, I saw.
What?
And your hair too, I saw.
Oh, my hair gets everywhere or whatever.
So what's in rehearsal for you?
Tell me why. I don't know what it is. I guess I don't like listening to you. But I never wanted to knit socks. And then I was scrolling through Instagram and someone was just like, it's just knitting a bunch of rolls until you get to the, heel and all that jazz. So I've had this fingering weight yarn. Don't ask me what it is because I don't remember. I'll show you later if this actually comes to fruition. But I've been wanting to use it and I don't know what, so I don't know, maybe some socks.
It's not like she doesn't have a plethora of opportunities to make socks. One out of my stash, but two from the studio.
But it's more so I have this skein of yarn that I really wanted to utilize. I don't know. So we'll see. I don't know. Also, the socks he's doing, although I've never done cable and I probably won't, but I think it's really cute. So
remind me before you leave. I'll give you, I think I still have it up here. I'll give you the book that I taught myself how to knit socks from. I've got several sock books over there.
You definitely gave me one. I just haven't looked at it yet.
Oh, I think I gave it to you then. Getting started knitting socks.
I don't know. It's like, yeah, probably.
I think that's right. I think I probably gave it to you because I knew I wasn't going to use it again.
We'll see. Maybe. But yeah.
It's always a good, nice, portable project. And
I've been insanely tempted. I look at it every single day. My blanket, huge shift blanket, but I'm terrified. So there's that.
It's all one stitch at a time.
I get that. And I get it's one little square at a time and I can handle the squares. But making it work the way it's supposed to work, I went on a Ravelry rabbit hole of people asking questions and all of these discussion boards, and my mind just exploded one day. So we'll see about that. But.
All right, well, let's move into behind the scenes. My spinning. I worked today to get other things done, though, so that I could show you some progress. I did finish, as of this morning, I wound off some daisy knits. Superwash merino, 60%, 30% bamboo, 10% nylon. Did not have a colorway name, but I am calling it Roses and Mustard. This is a 2-ply fingering weight. I got 414 yards. This is not washed, or I have not set the twist on this yet. So it'll kind of plump up and even out. But you can see there those subtle like rosy colors. What's the word I'm looking for? Everybody says it differently. Mauve, there we go, with some kind of yellows.
Who says it differently?
Some people say mauve.
Never heard that, and don't call it that, okay?
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Okay.
So, but you can see there the bamboo. I didn't ply it that, or I did not skein it that tightly because my fingers get caught in it. That's why this one does all the skeining now with the machine. But because of the bamboo and the nylon, it does have a lot of drape to it. So I think it would make something really pretty, a really pretty cowl or shawlette, or add it with something to, a commercial yarn.
Very soft.
To make it cool. So yeah, I was happy with it. Even with having some issues with the e-spinner, I told you it was not uptaking and doing things right, and I had to oil it.
And your wall.
And my wall, which I think it's finally done. There's still some spots on the wall that I haven't cleaned up yet, but it was flicking oil all over my computer and wall for weeks. But I am very happy with this, so I'm going to wash it and dry it and take photos of it, and it'll be up in the shop in the next few days. So yeah. And then it'll be going on the road. If it doesn't sell, it'll be going on the road with us once we start traveling. So, then I used my random number generator on my fiber stash, and it picked for me some Leading Men Fiber Arts fiber. I know, we were talking about that today, like, we need to start bringing some fiber in once in a while, but this was a blend that we carried that I brought in specifically to spin 4 socks, and we sold it in 6-ounce braids because most spinners do not end up getting enough yardage out of 4 ounces to knit a pair of socks. So I figured out of 6, they could easily get enough yardage. However, this was a short braid because this one is actually only 4 ounces and it's in the Mother Earth colorway on our super sock, which is 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon. So I'm going to do a 2-ply of that because I'm not going to do a 3-ply for socks because 1, I sell my yarn, but 2, since it's only 4 ounces, I don't want to take away from some of the yardage. So that was in my stash because it was a short braid. So that will be going on the wheel here in the next day or 2. And yeah, what about behind the scenes for you?
I can't even say I started spinning. I started to learn how to spin on Friday.
She was spinning.
For like 5 seconds here and there, yeah. So I finally got this one to
break out the old wheel.
Yeah.
The actual Ashford Kiwi that I own that lives in this closet.
And show me how to do some things. We'll see. It was like when I was actually getting it for 5 seconds, I got so excited and then I'd mess up. That's okay.
She was doing much better than I was as a beginning spinner. So we would show you, but she cleaned everything up. I went downstairs to like rinse yarn or something and came upstairs and she cleaned everything up and she put the wheel back in and I was like, all right.
Yo, my knee hurts. I get so tense. Like, I could tell even when I first started knitting, I was so tense. I get so tense about things. So, man, my knee hurts.
Just gotta learn to relax. And
yeah, but
it'll come.
The most frustrating thing is getting it started because I'm trying to push the pedal and it's going the other way. And but
you'll get there. Practice makes perfect.
So now I'm doing another thing. What have you done to me?
Andy was actually looking up different crafts on Amazon, like adult crafts and stuff, and he was looking at like birdhouses or something the other day, and I was like, "You do you, boo boo. I'm not gonna judge."
He's doing the quote unquote like manly thing. You know what I mean? But
he has had a book on origami since Borders, so that tells you how long. Because when we first met, we'd love on the weekend to just go to Borders and buy like clearance stuff. There's a reason why I have 2 bookcases full of books. Granted, we've pared down, and I've started audibling some of the ones I own.
About to say, I have more books than you.
Yeah, well, I've pared down a lot. But he had this origami book, and that teaches you, the basics into more stuff. And so he did 2 cranes the other day, and they're sitting on our buffet.
There's an adorable T-Rex on the front cover, and I want him to do it, because he's like, well, you could do it. I was like, nah, like, that's not how this works, right? It's your craft you're starting. But he says it's, like, it's the hardest one to do, or something in the book, but it's adorable.
That's what he said. It starts, the basics, and then, because he just had to start even with just folding the paper, and then, because he comes with the paper, but then he had to cut for certain things, and so I don't know. Because he broke out the actual, like, we had bought it for the business, like one of those actual paper cutters. And yeah.
It's like, why is that on the
We put it down in the basement because we're like, oh, we're not using this, But anyway, so let's move into in the scene shop. Speaking of other crafts, I am still cross-stitching, and I feel like I'm making noticeable progress. But again, I've been home a lot, and when I'm traveling, this doesn't get a lot of work. So hopefully I can get this done before we leave for California in a couple weeks. But this is my Dimensions kit, Live Life in the Moment, and I'm working on the last word, live. So I've got to finish this top portion here, and there's subtle detailing here, and then I get to backstitch live, and it's done. And then I have to figure out what to do about getting this framed. The cross-stitch shop that was in Bloomington that did my framing on my last piece has closed, and so I know I can take it into like Michael's or Hobby Lobby, but you need to go on a really, really good sale, and I've heard then it's not even that. Framing is not cheap. Good framing is not cheap, but I figure if I spent, a year and a half, 2 years on that, even if it's not an expensive kit, I'm doing stuff to hang in my house. So it's worth the investment, I feel like. It's like, what do they say about sweaters, right? Take the time to actually finish and seam it correctly and not messily, because if you spent, however long knitting the sweater, you might as well put it together well as well. And then my weaving. I worked really diligently this afternoon, right before Amanda got here, to finish my next weaving project. So this is my first fingering weight scarf. And no, I'm not doing any sort of patterning or anything like that. I'm not interested in patterning right now. I enjoy the kind of Zen meditative sense of just going back and forth with the shuttle and weaving. So I have a 15-inch Ashford cricket. Is it an Ashford? Shocked cricket? It's a cricket. 15-inch rigid heddle, and I did get a stand for it that Andy got me for my birthday, and different reeds. And this is my first fingering weight. I did it on a size 12 reed. I don't think I switched it out from the lace one. And Andy wanted me to do fingering weights, so he said, well, let me go up to your stash and I'll pick a skein. So he picked a skein of V yarns in the Night at the Opera colorway, and then we paired it with a skein from our shop, which is Showstopper in the Shadows in the Trees colorway, which is a green, tonal green. And I warped with the Shadows in the Trees colorway, and then I wove with the Night at the Opera colorway, and I'm so happy with this. This is going to go in the shop and travel with me to shows, but here is the scarf. So you can see there the green that was used as the weft. I do hem stitch my beginning and ends of the scarf rather than actually put knots in the tassels. I do not twist my fringe. Andy said he wished the fringe was a little bit longer. I don't like really, really long fringe, and I feel like it just gets messy and caught in things anyway. So, yeah. So there.
I feel like you're getting so much better at it.
I am super excited. I'm super excited that, one, my beginning and my end are the same size, width-wise, because usually the past few projects, it takes me a while to get the tension down right and the beading. But I really love the way the weaving turned out. So, and I feel like my edges are a lot better. I just really like the fine yarns for the weaving.
Yeah, me too.
So I like the drape. While this is not as soft as the merino silk lace weight, it still is nice, and it has good drape, and it's moldable, which is what I think really makes a wearable, trendy scarf, which is kind of what I want to make and represent in my shop. So I've started putting on applications for all the shows this year, that I not only have hand-dyed yarn and hand-spun yarn, which is on a rare occasion, but also hand-woven scarves as well. So this will be in the shop soon, as well as traveling. If it doesn't, we'll start traveling with us to shows as well. So I've got a handful of scarves ready to go for Stitches West, and yeah. Doesn't help that I, love this color combo.
I know, when you said you're gonna put it in the shop, I was like, really?
It's totally you. I know, but I'm like, I have boomerangs by the back door that I haven't even worn this year. I did wear my cashmere hat to go grocery shopping yesterday. It was quite cold. And I was like, you know what? I made this thing. I should wear it. But the problem is with the boomerangs, I'm not really... I don't even have my drive to work like I used to have. I'm not really out in the cold that long. If we're going anywhere, it's the post office or the grocery store, which is like a 2-minute drive away. So anyway, so there's my scarf that I finished and got off the loom. So I'll have to decide. I might go back to lace weight. I thought maybe I should use up some of that worsted weight but then I was like, maybe I could make things out of the mandala or use them as prizes on the show, all that stuff I bought for weaving that was thicker, but I didn't know, right? So
yeah, I have to say the thinner yarns, because I think I was turned off by the weaving because I didn't like the finished product of the thicker hearts.
Well, now I know what to get you next Christmas.
No. Did I say no? Because I mean no. Anyways, here's my beautiful cow. I'm sorry, I'm in love. The killer thing about cross stitches, it takes forever, and I'm like, I just want my beautiful cow to get done so I can stare at it, because guys, I really love cows. Also, the other day was Squirrel Appreciation Day. Woot woot, they're so cute. Anyway, did I say cows?
I might have bought a sampler kit from Hobby Lobby before because it has squirrels on it so that I can cross stitch it for her, but really what's going to happen is when she finishes this cow, I'm going to give her that kit because I've got more cross stitch than I can probably do.
Because this cow wasn't mine in the first place.
No, I bought that to cross stitch for her, but you know, I'm still on a... Anyway, cross stitch takes forever.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even look like much progress because I've been doing this like reddish color and it's taken a while, but it's actually like kind of a lot. But
the nice thing that I think I like about your project is it's really color blocked, so that you're not like, the problem with me is I'm constantly having to change colors because Dimension has a lot of close colors together, but they are different to give it that dimension. And my next cross stitch project, which is a full coverage Hade, is Heaven and Earth Design is known for that as well.
I love him. Okay. That's all.
Any other crafting? You didn't do any painting the past 2 weeks?
Oh yes, no, I have, but I'm doing a paint by number. I think it's called like an old farmhouse or something, but I didn't bring it to show one because it's a hassle and I have to travel it here. But it's another one of those things with the cross stitch, like, you might have worked on it for hours, but you don't see much progress, you know. But the corner that I was doing is completely like full of color. There's no but next weekend I'm going to see my friend that I started it with. It's our craft thing. Look at this. He turned me into crafting and now I'm rubbing off on my friends. I don't know. Oh my goodness.
It's because it's healthy for your mental stability.
Okay.
Keeps people sane, and this is what adults
it's
do. You don't
me
go out.
Insane. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta do this.
At least you're not going out and drinking every night.
No, but I mean, what's wrong with? No.
I should say the only thing we're not doing is going out.
Going out. Yeah. But yeah, so we're gonna have another painting, drinking night. I shouldn't say, but yeah, so that should be fun. But yeah, so if I get like a decent amount of progress where you can actually tell, I'll bring it in and show you guys. But.
Cool. All right, let's move into In the Spotlight. What are we watching and reading? I'm still listening to a book that I have like 45 minutes left to go, and I just can't bear myself to actually finish it and listen to it. But I'm going to quickly go through and give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down. TV shows that we're watching, Grace and Frankie Season 5 is on. We love that. We're immediately jumped right in. So that's back on Netflix. We're watching Lore Season 2. Meh. It's alright. The Handmaid's Tale, love it. We're into Season 2. I cannot recommend it enough. It is on Hulu. Shameless, we're watching on Netflix. That is raunchy but so funny. How to Get Away with Murder, I'm still watching. We watched on Amazon Prime A Very British Scandal, which is a 3-episode limited series. It stars Hugh Grant and a bunch of other British actors, but it is based on real events scandal that happened in Britain in the 1960s and 1970s, where Jeremy Thorpe was part of Parliament and was the head of his party and was, had sights of being Prime Minister, I believe, and he was a closeted homosexual who is rumored to have had an affair with a younger gentleman named, I just had it in my head, Norman Scott, who had some mental issues and other things, and basically he was a kept young man for a number of years while they had this secret illicit affair, and it eventually ended, and everywhere Norman went to tell people of this affair, nobody would hear of it because it was, one, illegal at the time the affair happened, but two, no one would take his word against such a high political figure. And over the years, as this kept popping up in Jeremy Thorpe's life, he would remark to the few select people who knew of him and knew of his affairs, would say that he wanted Norman to go away, to die. He must be killed. And so eventually, how it happened is one way that the series shows it, but it is believed that an attempt on Norman's life was made, even though the show has that kind of dry comedy that British TV can have, which was enjoyable. And so Norman was not killed, but he believed that Jeremy Thorpe was behind his assassination attempt, and so he eventually took Jeremy Thorpe to court, which he was tried, and it is not, it is known, but Jeremy was not found guilty of that and was released on all charges, but it is kind of the storytelling of that. I thought Hugh Grant did an amazing job. I've never thought of him as a truly talented actor, just because I know of him mostly as when I was younger, he was in the romantic comedies. But he was actually really, really good in this, and I highly recommend A Very British Scandal. It is on Amazon Prime. And then movies. So Andy and I have been watching a lot of movies. Dumplin' on Netflix. It's an original. Amanda's watched it. She's talked about it. It is very good. It is heartwarming. You will enjoy it. We watched The Commuter, which stars Liam Neeson. If you have watched any Liam Neeson movie, you know that they are all exactly the same, and you should know what you're getting into, but they are enjoyable action movies. So we enjoyed that, The Commuter. Last night we watched Logan Lucky, which I was a little like, I've heard of it, and Andy's like, you know what, it's not, we watched the trailer, and he's like, it looks funny. It stars Channing Tatum, as well as the guy that plays Darth Vader's son in Star Wars. Katie Holmes is in it, Daniel Craig, Hilary Swank has some scenes, Seth MacFarlane's in it, lots of different people. It's an Ian Soderbergh film who directed it, I believe, and it is very funny, but it's about these two brothers who mastermind a scheme to rob a motor speedway in West Virginia, North Carolina, somewhere
Probably
around
West
there.
Virginia.
It's where NASCAR, the Coca-Cola 600, is held, and they, because of unforeseen circumstances, they had to move up their plan to that weekend of that major raceway, and so it's about this robbery and how they do not come off as very intelligent gentlemen, and the luck that they had to have to pull it off, and it was very funny. We enjoyed it, so that's Logan Lucky. The next movie we watched is He's Out There. I recommended this to Amanda. She watched it with our mom. It's alright. I noticed the main girl in it is also one of the actresses in Handmaid's Tale. She's not the lead. But basically it's about a mother who takes her two daughters out to their lake house. And the husband's on his way soon, and there is a kid who went missing in that lake house years before, never was seen from again, and as darkness falls, someone calls. No, I just made that up, but it's one of those kind of horror movies, so.
But if you're like us, you like them and you watch them.
It was alright, and it was cheesy, and we watched it, but I enjoyed it, so. That's all that I've been watching, but we've been doing a lot of watching, so.
Yeah, so briefly, it's finally back to where my shows are on. I hate the holiday season because they take all my shows off, and the summer, all my shows are gone, but now they're back. I've been watching America's Got Talent. This is the season where they're bringing back people who either won or like were close to winning, like they were like favorites and whatnot, and they're all battling, and it's awesome. A lot of the shows I end up crying, like Susan Boyle was on, I think, the very first show, and I adore her, and I start crying, and I'm crying right now just thinking about it. It's awesome. Like, every show is truly enjoyable, but I've always loved America's Got Talent. Best variety show, in my opinion. So that's on. Watching Grey's Anatomy, also crying. It's amazing. And then A Million Little Things, also crying. I like to watch
Moral of the
shows.
story, she's crying a lot.
Well, the funny thing is I don't cry very easily in, like, movies and stuff, unless animals die or something, but I don't know, I get invested in these shows, and you get invested in these characters, and it's a lot. But then I watched, it's on Netflix, Ellen DeGeneres. She has a comedy special out, and I can't remember if she said it was like 10 or 15 years since she's done actual stand-up. And I've never personally seen her stand up. I know her from her show and then other things that she's done. And I gotta say, it was pretty funny, pretty enjoyable. At first I was like, oh, this is cute, but I'm not cracking up laughing. And I think the drink I had in my hand may have helped. I don't know. But I got to a point where I was laughing out loud, and my mom could hear me from upstairs, and she was like, well, you're having a good time, aren't you? And I was like, I'm sorry. She's like, no, enjoy yourself. But, so a lot of it was funny. I mean, it was called Relatable. She's talking about how she can relate to people. I don't know, but it was pretty good. And then after that, there's actually a 10-minute Q&A session, like, aside from the show itself. So if you're gonna watch it, I suggest watching that because she's pretty hilarious with the crowd as well. But then I watched a movie with my mom on Netflix called The Last Laugh, and it's got Chevy Chase and, I know I was gonna forget his name, so I wrote it down, Richard Dreyfuss. You know, those older guys, older gentlemen that are comedians. But it is truly hilarious, and I wanted to point it out because I adored it as a 23-year-old, and my mom as an older lady, because it's...
She's 60.
Yeah, she's 60. Cat's out of the bag there. But,
She's never gonna watch this.
So, it's called The Last Laugh because they're comedians, but Chevy Chase's character plays a, what do you call it? Like, a manager or whatever, and Richard Dreyfuss's character was the actual comedian, and they hadn't seen each other in, I don't know, it was a long time, like 40, 50 years or whatever. His character, he was going to be on the Ed Sullivan Show, and for some reason he backed out. Like, he was going to be the biggest comedian out there kind of thing, and he backed out for a normal life. And then Chevy Chase's character ends up going into this old folks home by the persuasion of his niece, or no, granddaughter. And they end up meeting each other again, like 50 years later, and Chevy Chase's character convinces him to... There's a really funny scene. They, like, leaving the old folks home, and they're going off on a tour, and he's gonna get him on, oh man, I can't remember. Is it Jimmy Fallon's show, maybe? But he was gonna get on one of the late night shows, and so they go on this tour, and I mean, they're in Tijuana, Mexico, and this like it's hilarious. We're dying laughing. It's really great. I suggest it, and it is on the Netflix. So yeah.
All right, good to know. All right, stash enhancement. I got nothing. I've been good. You have anything?
No.
Well, then let's move on to our giveaway this week. We are giving away a book, which is back here. And it might not be for everybody, but we were donated it, and some people may want to either know of this or might want to learn a new craft, and that is Tunisian crochet. This is The Look of Knitting with the Ease of Crocheting by Sharon Hearns Silverman. So I haven't really looked through this. This is put out by Stackpole Books. And it does have really nice photos in here and schematics and things. Everything from felted clutches to ladders and lattice duster. So you can make like a duster there. So it has, lots of different things in here that you can learn to do. The shimmer shawl might be a nice one to do.
I feel like I've seen someone wear that at Stitches. But I can
There's skirts in here. Wraps.
Unless you're like
scarves.
me and will never pick up a crochet hook ever again in their life. That was a struggle.
So it says Tunisian crochet builds on traditional crochet skills. And then this particular general crochet and skills review section goes over those basic techniques and stitches step by step in words and illustrations. If you haven't crocheted in a while, practice the basics to refresh your skills before starting Tunisian crochet. So it does walk you through how to do everything from, chain stitch to a single crochet, half double, double, single crochet together, how to fasten off, how to measure your gauge, and then it goes into the Tunisian crochet basics, and then you go into patterns. So there's a pillow cover. So there is a nice range. There's a blanket. So it's not just one of anything. They give you a vast variety of projects that you can do, kind of showcasing Tunisian crochet. So if you are interested to win a copy of this book, you must be a member of the Dramatic Knits Ravelry group on, Ravelry. And you can only post once per person, but I already have that posted. Ravelry now has a little box you can check for threads that is a no chatter, so you can only post once and you can't reply to someone else's post. But the prompt for this is, what is your favorite store to shop at? Thought that'd be fun. Let's do, I don't have it on the thread, I've already put it up. But, if you could, let's not put the yarn store, because I think that's a given. So what is, like, your other favorite store to shop at? So.
Can I share?
You can share, because I don't know what mine is.
Aldi.
She does love the Aldi.
Okay, I love Aldi, and my mom calls it Aldi's. It's not Aldi's, it's Aldi. I love Aldi. Go to Aldi. I used to... in high school, I would have friends that didn't shop at Aldi, and I was like, go to Aldi. It is amazing. I mean, a few things are hit and miss, but man, they have some hidden gems. Oh, I love Aldi, guys. I really do.
So that's our giveaway for this episode. So go on over. Thread's already up in the group. Post.
I feel like your favorite shop is like not. It's like online. Because you buy everything online, you know?
I do buy a lot on Amazon now just for the convenience of it. I don't have to go anywhere, but yeah, because I don't really do much shopping anymore. I used to do a lot of like mall clothing shopping back in high school and in college. I went into a lot of debt in college, just spending money. The bookstore, I used to enjoy Borders, but I don't enjoy Barnes and Noble, so I don't read as much as I used to. So
Ross. Now you got me on it. I just want to talk about shops.
All right. I did want to mention we're moving into a round of applause. We have a thread that Amanda graciously posted in our Ravelry group for our Q&A, question and answer episode that we will be doing around our anniversary, our 8-year anniversary, around February 16th, somewhere around there. If you would like us to answer some questions, go on over there. Some people have been posting questions already. Amanda did put on there, if you would like one specific person to answer, if it's geared towards either myself or Amanda, make sure to note that so that we both aren't answering. Because, if it's like, what made you dye your hair black? Well, I can't really answer that. Yeah, so, and it's nice to look at the questions and think about them for a little bit because, like, the first person who posted had some really good questions, but I had to think about it. I'm like, I want to make sure that I'm prepared and not just thinking off the cuff. So, we're going to do our Q&A episode. We're going to have another episode in 2 weeks, but then 2 weeks after that, I'm actually going to be in California. So, what I think we are going to do is the Sunday after our next episode, so 1 week after our next episode, will be the day before we leave from California. If I have the time, it's going to be between Knitting Pipeline and leaving for Stitches West. we may sit down and record just that Q&A special episode so that I can post something onto the YouTubes and the iTunes.
If you don't have Ravelry or whatever, if you just want to put your question down below or wherever, I'll grab them from wherever.
She'll source them.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just if you want it answered in the episode and not like in a comment, maybe put that in there so I know. But.
Cool. All right. Last episode's giveaway was a project bag from Whimsy Stitches that I bought as a prototype test type for our year in review sets. It's good enough to fit a pair of socks in it, but it has the bag as well as 5 sets of DPNs from Knit Picks in their, I believe it's their Sunstruck. Or no, it's their Rainbow Wood one. So we had a lot of people enter for this. I believe there was like 97 entries or something. So I used the random number generator, and it picked number 66, who is Family Diva, and that's Sue from Rockwall, Texas.
Diva too.
And Sue is a longtime supporter of the podcast, and she is always commenting, and I'm so glad that she won. So Sue, I hope you will get some use out of this. The prompt last episode was, if you had to give yourself a new name, what would you pick? And Sue said, I would hate to have to change my name, but if so, I would probably like Geetha, Getha. Geetha. I'm going to say that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. She said, Mother had a friend whose name was Geetha, and I always thought it was nice, and not everybody else has that name. So I think that's cool, too, that it's something that kind of has a relation back to your family or family and friends, and it's not something that everybody has, right? So, congratulations, Sue. Just so I know that you heard about this, would you go ahead and direct message me on Ravelry, give me your name, mailing address, and email address. That way is as well, so if Amanda has to ship it, she has all your information as well. Because sometimes I'm like, go in my Ravelry and ship out stuff, go in my mail, and she does it for me. It's nice. We do want to remind you to post anything you finish in the month of January into the January 2019 Race to the Finished Object thread. As soon as February 1st happens, we will open up a new thread for February and close down January. We will pull for winners for that next episode. We will have a physical prize as well as a pattern from our featured designer, who is Susie White, also known as Prairie Girl Susie and Prairie Girl Designs, and we have her design page linked on our show notes, which can be found at dramaticknits.com. All right, let's move into center stage, talking about Leading Men Fiber Arts. And I meant to bring up some actual items to show you this episode, and I forgot. Because we have some new showstopper gradients that are my color ensembles that are not traditional gradients, but more color-curated sets. And so we had new ones of those that I want to bring up, and some new kits and things, but you can go in the shop and look. Click on kits, click on gradients, and you'll find them. I do want to show you next month's colorway, because I'm on top of the game. We're already prepping for March's, because we're going to be gone for like half of February. But this is February's colorway, which is called Can't Quit You, EWE, and it looks like this. So it has subtle shades of like a reddish pink, along with some kind of like a sagey speckling, and shades of like a tobacco gold. So this is very similar to spiced apple cider, but more like a massage speckled. So that I think they would actually pair very nicely together. But this is a little more subdued and a little more softer. So we will also have sock sets up for this. I paired this with our rubescent colorway. I forgot to bring that up to show you a mini skein with it. But this one particular base is Dramaturg, which is DK. I will show you a swatch of it knitted up. I am working on a swatch right now. And here's just the very beginnings of the swatch. Sorry, thank you. So, that's Can't Quit You, which is inspired from Brokeback Mountain. Just can't quit you. Which, if you have not seen that movie, go watch it. Heath Ledger, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal has an Instagram now, guys.
Anne Hathaway's in it.
But I'm sorry.
Michelle Williams, Heath Ledger's former wife. I think that's it. So that's the new colorway. Pre-orders for that will go up on February 1st. It'll be up through February 8th. All items will ship out by February 15th. We still do have Year in Review mini skein sets in the shop. I believe there's about 20 left. Whatever we have, once we leave for California, will go with us to Stitches West. So we will bring those in person. If you're debating and you're going to see us at Stitches West, we will have whatever we have left, if that's any, with us in California. So we'll be bringing those. Let's talk about our retreat, the Knitting at the Estate retreat. Thank you to everyone who's signed up. We have been utterly pleased with each and every person that has signed up. It is every time you ask Amanda, I'm like, ooh, we got another one. We got another one, because I'm so excited for this event. I am not so excited for everything that I keep thinking that we're going to have to do, and the logistics and all this stuff that I'm like, oh, it's going to be super easy to just do the lottery. Well, no, it's not. To make our lives easier, we're going to have to like spreadsheet it and then, you know, create email lists and go through and get everybody's dietary restrictions, and then to actually put them in rooms and do roommates. It's all right, though. We've got 3 people working on this. Really 2. I mean, Andy helps where he can, but the logistics things kind of... We can go like this sometimes, and it's just easier to do it yourself sometimes. So.
I love spreadsheets, so...
It's going to be on you. Actually, sign-ups end today. So, depending on if you watch this tonight, tomorrow morning when I get up, so I'm not going to close it right away, but I will actually take down the sign-up off the sign-up page and say thank you to everyone who entered. And we will be sending out either acceptance emails or waitlist emails. We do have more participants than we can accept on Friday. So February 1st, those emails will be going out. I will be creating a Ravelry group sometime this week for Knitting at the Estate, so you can search for that. If you don't find anything, I haven't created it yet. So my deadline is to have that up before emails go out so that I can reference it in emails and people can join and keep up to date with stuff. Please note that if you are accepted, your deposit... you will be invoiced for your deposit a few days, within a day or two, after your acceptance, and you will have through the 15th to pay the deposit before your spot is given up and offered to somebody off the wait list. I do want to say, if you signed up hoping to go with someone, it is a lottery, which means we're going to treat this fair. We're not going to take special preferences. We've had people reach out, and here's what I've told everybody. If part of your party gets in, and some people do not immediately back out. This is why. Now, you're more than welcome to if you feel the urge. But we are giving full refunds through June 15th. So if you get in and say your friend doesn't get in, well, I would not back out right away. I would wait until June to see if your friend gets in before backing out, because then you can both go. Right? If you immediately back out, lo and behold, you probably back out, and then I offer the next person on the wait list when we pull off the wait list, and it's your best friend. So just kind of wait and see where things go. Also, that being said, a lot of people want to stay on site. We did add 25 more participants to stay at their own location. So if you get offered an off-site position, just keep that in mind, that we want to get as many people who can come. So we're super excited, and yeah, we can't wait to get the ball rolling and open up the Ravelry group and maybe do some knit-alongs and fun things like that. Yeah. If you have any questions, you can email knittingattheestate@gmail.com or check out the website knittingattheestate.com. All right, quickly, upcoming shows for Leading Men Fiber Arts. We are officially vending at the Knitting Pipeline Retreat. Amanda is joining me as my guest for the weekend. She's going to come to the retreat and help me vend. That's part of the deal. But it's a super easy laid-back retreat for us where we set up the bins and we put them on their sides and people get to shop. So it's a very laid-back retreat this year. There's not going to be any food provided. We're going to go out and eat. We're staying at the really cheap Super 8, which is kind of skeezy, but it's half the price of the other hotel in Washington. But it's a nice, quick retreat. And if you're looking to go, while there are a good deal of people coming already, I believe she's still accepting registration. You can check that out at knittingpipeline.com or go to the Knitting Pipeline Retreats group. There's special threads for her February retreat, and it's really cheap this year. I think it's like $30 to go, and you just have to kind of get your own lodging. And if you see us there, come up and say hi, chit chat, sit down at a table. As I've said in the past, I'm not really good at getting up and mingling, but please come sit down and chit chat with us. We'd love to talk with you for a little bit during our retreat stay there. So. And it's nice and local for us. So, and some of our favorite indie friends are the vending. I believe there's a designer that I have not heard of, but I think Paula's mentioned her in a podcast. And then Jennifer of Daisy Knits is going to be there, and Sarah of Yarn Geek Fibers is also vending, and myself. That's it on the vending list so far. I'm not sure if any of the Indiana crowd is coming this year. I hope they do. And then I'll get a night at home, maybe two. Depends on when Andy wants to leave. I'm sure he'll want to leave on Monday rather than Sunday. And then we're driving 36 hours to Stitches West.
Which means I get to hang out with my puppies.
For about 12 days.
And maybe I'll surprise you with a bunch of swatches. I remember last time, how many did I don't remember. I did a lot.
You did about one every day. You had like 14, but I'm not, was that? Yeah, that was California.
But it was...
Because that was our only long stretch other than the North Carolina back to California. But
I don't know, though. I got so many other crafts I'm doing now. But
yeah, so Stitches West, our booth numbers are 1019 through 1023. We are, if you go in the main door and you turn right and go all the way to the final aisle in the main front section of Stitches West, we're on that final aisle across from the bathrooms. So, kind of in the corner. We're right behind Red Heart, and we're in between Red Heart and Oregon Woodworkers, I believe. Other than that, I haven't really seen who else is by us. That's just who they mentioned when they placed us on the show floor. So, we're super excited. We're bringing all the non-superwash. We're going to have 2 full walls of each base. We're going to have tons of sweater quantity. We're already like, how are we going to fit all this in the van? We have no idea, but Andy's going to work that magic while we're gone at Knitting Pipeline, because that's what happened last year, and he somehow got everything in the van. So we hope you'll stop by at Stitches West and come check out what we have to offer. And until we see you again in 2 weeks, though, we will check back with you on February 10th. Right before Pipeline, and we'll share with you that big exciting news we've been holding on to for the past couple of months. And until we speak to you again, we hope you
knit something
dramatic.